Welcome, folks. My name is Bobblehead King, alias Roger, along with my partner in crime, Jason, the Bobblehead himself. Jason, you are out in the state of Washington. I am in the state of Ohio, Cincinnati to be more specific. This is the first time both of us, or at least myself, have done a real podcast. The nature of the beast is going to be, we're going to talk about basically anything, but we're primarily going to be talking sports for the most part. But a lot of things are going to be talked about. Some is going to be boring to some people. Some will be real interesting. Some people might say, what the hell is Roger talking about? But welcome. I mean, we're doing this together.
Time.
Whatever. But, well, let's real briefly, Jason and I connected. You are what, 38?
I will be, yeah.
38-ish. I'm 65-ish. Be 65 in August. Jason and I connected about 30 years ago when I had a sports card shop, and he was living in Cincinnati, and he used to come in as a very timid, shy kid, and now he's anything but, because he talks a lot. But we're not going to talk about us that much. We just wanted to give a little bit of an intro. I sell bobbleheads on the side. Jason, you are in the state of Washington.
Yeah, I retired from the Air Force here. I was a broadcaster in the Air Force for 17 years, and I just retired last year on medical reasons. And then now it's kind of, you see me wearing the Bengals jersey and stuff, and it's funny, like, I'm from Cincinnati, so I got to support my hometown team even if they suck, and now that I'm not the one paying the stadium tax, it's okay. So low blow, sorry. Sorry, background. But yeah, if I'm a dislocated fan, so it's hard to watch all the games here, but I do what I can. And, we don't have to talk just about football. It's not a Bengals channel. It's not a football channel. As you can see, I got terrible towels on my wall, too. So, if I got Bengals and terrible towels, who's more objective than me?
You know what? I've got a major problem with that. When you showed me your wall before we went on here, you can't have Pittsburgh Steelers and Cincinnati Bengals in the same house, let alone on the same wall. But that is showing that you're a football fan a lot more than you are a particular team. So I don't think there's anything wrong with that. But let's go on to our first topic, because nobody wants to hear about our boring stories.
Yeah.
But this is our first show. We're going to learn on the run. Both of us have broadcast back in the day. With me, it was 45 years ago at Xavier University. Big fan of Xavier. Did a broadcast show there. And, you have been in broadcasting more recently. But one of the first topics of conversation nowadays, obviously with the coronavirus going on and what effect it has on not only the entire country, but the entire world, something that everybody has to deal with now, whether they want to or not. We are trying to add a little bit of a lightheartedness on the world we live in today with sports talk. And I think a lot of people can relate to that. There's no sports to basically watch as of now. And
well, there are.
There is a little
bit.
But in Cincinnati and in state of Washington and the entire country, there's not a whole lot as far as, MLB is still on the back burner. The NFL says they've got the schedule, they've got the draft, we're going to play.
Yep.
NBA, NHL, they're in limbo. Who knows what's going to happen?
I think the NBA season is going to get scrapped, is what I heard last.
Yeah, and that's something that we could talk hours and hours on whether they should play and all that. But just briefly in a nutshell, what are your opinion about, it's a game. It's all a game. These guys are getting paid millions of dollars. The owners are either millionaires or billionaires, don't have to rely on their team necessarily because they have their own ownership of other businesses. But what is your opinion on, everybody wants sports to get back, whether it's even a fan saying that or just your normal average citizen. It shows at least getting back to the norm that we were used to. Do you think there's a chance, let's say, for the MLB to play?
The MLB, I think because the season is fairly long, they could start playing again. It would probably be an abbreviated season. Um, you mentioned money, and that's the big deal right now. I think with the MLB is that they're still trying to negotiate what the players' salaries are going to be, because the owners don't want to pay the players for the games that they missed. And so I think that's kind of the holdup right now. They just recently released a 67-page amendment to the rules, I believe. I think that was for the MLB. Things like, as far as wearing masks and how the contact is supposed to work. Like, one of the rules was like that they can't even shower at the facilities now. So it's like, what are they going to drive home or drive back to their hotel stinky and sweaty? I mean, that's kind of gross. But I don't know. I did play sports at one point in time, and I know you get sweaty playing sports. So you get dirty, you get sweaty, even in baseball.
Well, now wait a minute. Before you go any further, Jason, a little birdie told me that you were at a game and participated, but you didn't play. And you don't sweat when you're sitting on the bench.
I don't remember that game. What I remember is when I was a young kid, and I'm not bragging here, but I got a lot of hits. And even when I was playing in an intramural softball league in the Air Force, I got a lot of hits. I got hits every time. I mean, I got hits. I don't know if that says more about my skill or the skill of the people I was playing with.
The only thing that Jason's leaving out here is he got on base a lot, but balls that were hit to him, he let drop in front of him or just downright dropped.
Yeah, I couldn't catch to save my life.
Half okay and half not okay, but that's another story. You say we're both from Cincinnati. You went to Princeton High School. In fact, as we speak, I just saw some video and pictures on Facebook. The Princeton High School football field is under some inches of rain that we are having the last few days.
Yeah, and that's surprising to me to see that, because back when I was in high school, I was actually doing, my mom wouldn't let me play football. She thought I would get killed if I played football, or she wouldn't even let me play baseball for the team. She wouldn't let me try out for any sports. She thought I was too skinny and I would get killed. And so I did the broadcasting instead. And so, we did video of the football games. And when you showed me those pictures, which I don't know if you're going to link to that or whatever later, but, there's probably like, a foot of water on the football field?
Yeah.
And it goes all the way into the locker room and everything. So, I'm sure that's going to be a big insurance claim probably.
Talking about insurance claims, we were talking about MLB. We're talking also about the NFL, that is seemingly more in line to be playing at this point in time. But there's going to be a lot of players out there that, are not going to want to play because, A, they don't want to put themselves in harm's way, and as well as, bringing that back to their families at home. When I heard about this shower possibility of you not being able to take a shower and all that, to me, the whole thing about this, and I'm all for getting things get back to normal as quickly as possible, and most people would agree with that, but just from a logistics standpoint, it just is not baseball. There won't be fans, which I don't think, not having fans is the end of the world, but at the same time, the rules that you're going to have incorporated, like, you're going to have to stay maybe in hotels. You're going to have to be quarantined for every time you're outside the, the facility, wherever you're playing at. It just, to me, is it all worth it if somebody were to get sick from this? Now, people will say that if they get sick, then they could have gotten sick under any circumstances before all this hit. So they have that point.
Yeah, well, there's a couple things going on with that. And so, safety is, of course, a big concern. But, looking at, and I'm not trying to get into the politicalness of the coronavirus or anything like that. I'm just talking strictly as far as sports is concerned. You probably have a better chance of getting injured and hurt badly in playing the sport than you do from the coronavirus. But so some people are critical of it as far as Major League Baseball is concerned. It was the Players Association. It was the players that were asking for the safety measures to be put in place. those safety measures were not created by the players. This in that 67-page rule book that just came out earlier this week or last week maybe. But that is you know, was generated, I think, in response to the concerns of the players. So you have some players that are probably going to be okay with it, just like normal people here, you know, outside of sports. You're going to have some players that are okay with it and some players that aren't okay with it. And, you know, to try to find that balance, I mean, what do you do if you don't have a full roster? If you have a team and the ownership and the management and they want to go and play, but you have some of their star players that don't want to play, I mean, what do you do then? I guess is the question. But as far as getting the season open, and you know, you look at Korea, and the Korean Baseball League has started. You know, it's a much smaller league. There's only 10 teams, but you know, they're playing in stadiums that don't have any fans. I guess some of them may or may not have cardboard cutouts that the fans donated. The Bundesliga in Germany, the German soccer league, has started up again, and they do have cardboard cutouts that their fans donated. They paid for these cardboard cutouts of themselves to sit in those chairs, and that money went to charity to, you know, help with victims of coronavirus. You know, you don't have money or whatever, some kind of charity. Don't quote me on that. I don't remember the details of the charity, but you know, you've got good things coming from it, you know, doing that. And, you know, I think it's, you know, really up to the individual players, you know, if they want to take the risk, which they were taking risk playing the game anyway. And yeah, they are getting paid money, good money to play the games. But you have to look at it this way too. You know, a lot of people say, well, sports players, professional athletes, you know, these guys, they get paid too much. They get paid millions and millions of dollars. And, you know, I agree. I think maybe, you know, a lot of times they do get paid way too much. But you have the caveat, you know, they can't just go out down the street to Walmart and not be bothered. You know, they have a certain lifestyle that they have to change their lifestyle to, as a public figure like that. They can't do the things that you and I can just do. You know, I can't just walk down the street.
Wait a minute, what are you saying there?
So
I leave home, there's 100 wild women outside screaming for autographs.
well, you were talking about earlier before we started the show. You were talking about the Last Dance with Michael Jordan, right? Which I got to be honest. When I heard people talking about it on the internet, I thought that it was some kind of like Dancing with the Stars show, so I didn't pay any attention to it. So I don't like that.
Dancing with a Star, but maybe the main star in this case.
Yeah. So I didn't know what it was, but yeah, you're talking about that, and I think I kind of lost the point.
No, we were talking about Michael Jordan. I mean, we're sort of, and again, to our listening and viewing audience, you know, this is our first time together. There are going to be hiccups along the way. By the end of, you know, a month or so, hopefully we'll get that scattered and the scatterness a little bit more under control. But we were talking about MLB, but then we went off on, you know, these players getting the big money, but getting out in public and all that. And Michael Jordan.
So, yeah, you were talking about Michael Jordan having to buy out a whole restaurant in order to go eat with his family. And so I mean, you have things without being interrupted or hounded for autographs or whatever. So, you know, you got to think about if you're a celebrity like that, especially as famous as Michael Jordan is in the sports world, you probably can't go out in public without being hounded. And you know, maybe you live in a community where people, you know, understand you don't want to be bothered all the time, and you know, maybe they won't bother you if you have that kind of community that you're living in. But you know, for the most part, probably people get bothered a lot.
That can be a subject for another day. Just celebrity. I mean, there are people out there that are basically stalkers. And they are at the hotels, they're at the airports even sometimes when celebrities come in. Back to what we were talking about, you were talking about the Korean Baseball League, and
my Korean coffee mug from
there
Starbucks.
You go. I can't read a letter on there.
Well, yeah, because it's all in the Korean alphabet. I don't know what it's.
By the way, he has been all over the world. You did mention that you were in the Air Force, and you've been all over the world, and then some. And now you're located personally in the state of Washington. The MLB, to me, I'm all for them getting something in, and any of the sports venues for that matter. But to me, I don't want them doing testing when testing is not available to people who really need it. And I think a lot of people are along those same lines. I don't want to have testing for, say, 50 of a baseball team. You've got, your 30 players that they're talking, and then the staff and all that. So you're talking probably.
That's a lot of testing. And
yeah.
I think you told me, or somebody told me that KBO, they were testing all their players and staff every day or something like that, right?
I'm not sure if it was every day, but I watched them initially to see just sort of what the MLB could copy off of, either add to or subtract. Yeah. I found it sort of interesting that the players did not wear masks at all, to my knowledge. It was the coaches on the base paths were wearing them, the umpires were wearing them, and it looked like medical staff was wearing them on the benches. But the game that I saw, which was, I think, the first game that they had on ESPN2, was a guy hit a home run, and it was down the line. And one of my pet peeves in sports, and I'm sure we'll bounce off this subject later in our podcast, is the instant replay and the review and replay. And I don't like that. But they had a review on a home run that was hit right down the right field line. And, of course, they went to the cameras and they decided it was a home run. And he went right through the dugout getting high fives from everybody. So, that could be construed as being irresponsible. But I think the Americans right now, in this case, MLB officials, have to check and see, how it's doing in other sports venues, whether it's baseball or, as you said, they're playing soccer, football, right? Football.
Yeah. Well, it's in German, it's Fußball.
Fußball? Well, there's what I learned today.
Yeah, so like you got a Fußball table, that's a German word for soccer.
I got, you know what? You are just a fountain of information. And I still don't like the fact
information.
I still don't like you. I don't like the fact that you got terrible towels and the Cincinnati Bengals pennant behind you. I guess people can't see it right now.
Yeah, there's like a hat.
I mean, that's just.
I'll wear different stuff from time to time.
That's fine. I'm giving Jason a hard time
because we were going to talk about it. I thought we were going to talk about Andy Dalton. I thought that was one of our talking points.
Well, Andy Dalton. Okay, we can talk Andy Dalton here. I mean, we're scattered. If people who want to respond to this, we will be on. We will have a link out via Facebook, which people that know me, I'm a Facebook junkie. We will also have it. I will be sending out emails to people that I know that I think are interested in this. But there will be a link. If you have any comments or questions or just flat out, you guys suck, you know what? That's okay. I mean, we're not Bob Costas and Al Michaels here talking.
No, we're just two guys.
We're just two very ordinary guys. That sounds scary that I'm ordinary. But I just can't get over that terrible towel underneath the Bengal. I mean, if I were a Bengal fan.
Well, hey, it is under it.
Well, that's true. It is under it. But you got two of them.
Let me explain. Let me explain. They're covering up the holes from the mount from my TV because my TV used to be on that wall.
I gotcha.
I had to put something there and I ran out of pennants.
That's like having tell me somebody who in their home has an Ohio State and Michigan banner on the same wall.
Well, I would.
You would?
I would. Except that I don't really like Ohio State. Here's why. I have a story about that. I don't know if we have time for it. I'm just going to
go ahead. Go ahead. This is
my story about Ohio State. 17 years in the military. Every time I went somewhere, when you're meeting somebody new, you're talking about, oh, well, where are you from? Where are you from? That's kind of the thing, and when you meet somebody new like that. And so, they would automatically assume that me being from Cincinnati and being from Ohio, that I'm an Ohio State fan. And so, they would start the OHIO chant or whatever. And I'm like, look, man, I'm from Cincinnati. we had our own universities there. We had Xavier University, which you're wearing the ball cap for right now. Yeah, go X, right? Yeah, we had UC. So if I was going to be an Ohio college fan, I wouldn't be an Ohio State fan because I didn't live in Columbus, and I never went to that school anyway. I actually went to Syracuse University, and of the Air Force. So
I did not know that you went to Syracuse. Well, Jason and I sort of lost touch for a while after you left Cincinnati and went into the Air Force, but we reconnected. I did not know you were you were an Orange man.
Yeah, I was. Yeah, and I got orange on.
There you go.
I don't have the blue, but I got orange.
There you go. But no, we're in this to have a good time, and we're gonna pick. I told Jason before we started the so-called cameras and audio rolling here that I was gonna pick on you, and I'm wearing my Xavier cap. I've got actually a shirt of Seattle and New England from the infamous Super Bowl from a few years ago. That a lot of people said that Pete Carroll was not the smartest in calling that play that ended up with an interception to end the Super Bowl.
What that Super Bowl was from my perspective?
What?
The two biggest cheaters in the NFL going at it.
That's for another show. I know a lot of people out there that know me love that comment. I'm a New England fan. I'm a Tom Brady fan, and I'm going to follow him with Tampa Bay. That's another story. And we're going to give a few facts and figures. I mean, right now in the day that we're
the first show that we're doing, and the viewers don't know us, so we're kind of going a little bit more into personal detail than we would in other shows. We would stay on target more. But right now, I mean, people need to know who we are to see if they care about our opinions or not. And when you were talking about going back and forth, this is kind of like what we did when we were at the sports card shop when I was working for you. Customers would come in and we would banter about sports. And, we would, razz each other because that's what sports fans do. It's a friendly rivalry.
I almost enjoyed talking sports more than selling them something.
Yeah.
Because,
you had people that would come in and do that. Exactly.
I mean, I remember I had a store called the Bleachers Sports Card Shop. And I had partners at the beginning, Tim Sullivan, Lonnie Wheeler of Cincinnati Enquirer fame. They've gone their separate ways. And Rodney Hoffman was another one that was a partner. A Princeton High School graduate, by the way. You know what, Jason, you can always say you went to Princeton, and they won't ask high school or college.
Yeah, I'll just leave the school part off of my resume.
Yeah, exactly. But we used to have at our location across from Sports Plus in Evendale, I remember we used to have a guy come in and we called him Cash. Whether Cash is still around, we're talking at least 20 years ago. And Cash came in and he was a large individual, nice, good customer and all that. He'd come in and other guys would come in and we talk a lot about sports. And, I always remember Cash by the fact that he would say, well, do I have to pay tax? I said, yeah, you do. He says, well, just give me the figure and enough with that. But those were the old days. I, was into sports cards. I'm into sports bobbleheads, as you can sort of see from behind. I've got almost 600 bobbleheads. But we're not getting into that. Summing up on the baseball side.
I thought we were done with baseball. Sorry.
The baseball, I think it's a wait and see, like everything else in the world right now. It's a wait and see. In another, now that places are opening up more.
Yeah. I look at it this way. Your state is probably opening up a lot more than my state. My state has issues. We're not opening yet, for anything. There's some things that are opening, but they have some kind of really slowly. They want to open everything in phases and be real slow about it. But, they didn't shut it down in phases. And they never specified who was essential and who was not. But to get into it, sports goes, we still have a lot of people who are not working, they're working from home. People have a lot more time now, and there's nothing to do. And a lot of people that maybe they live alone or whatever, having something to do that they can relate to everybody about, other than watching The Last Dance, some live sports and stuff like that would give them something to do. And so I think, for the sake of morale of the country, you know, opening up sports and keeping that going at least would be a good thing. Now, when you're talking about the money and the financial side of it, they're not going to have any ticket sales. And you and I talked about specifically in baseball on this, that if they don't allow fans into the stadiums, you know, they're going to lose a lot of money on tickets. But the stadiums are pretty big. I think that, my opinion, they could allow some fans in.
Well, my question to that is this. I mean, it's a good idea, but the question is, and unless you have some kind of a, a lottery like they do in Super Bowl where X amount of season ticket holders get put in a pool, they pull out names and all, you're talking about, well, like right here in Cincinnati. I mean, we've got 40,000 seat stadium for the most part in Great American Ballpark. If you're going to go, let's say.
I haven't been to that one yet, though.
Yeah. Nice stadium. I mean, I go back to Crosley Field, so I'm old school.
Yeah, the only one that I went to was Riverfront.
Yeah. But, with that, do you say, like, you're only going to allow 10,000? Well, there are things that are going to go wrong with that because everybody's going to come within 6 feet of one another, either at the concession stands, if those are going to be open, when you're allowing fans in. You got that to go into. You've got going into the bathroom. You've got coming and leaving the stadium, going through the turnstile. How are they going to work that? You got security. You got a lot of what I call what ifs. And what ifs in every sport and just everything that this is presented.
Well,
what if?
Roger, to do that, you kind of got to look at other things. Like you got to look at the restaurants and you got to look at, you're talking security. Look at the airports.
Yeah.
They're still open. People are still going through security at the airports. People are masked up. They got gloves on. I think if you let them in wearing masks, that's fine. As far as the bathroom goes, I mean, maybe you close off every other sink or every other, toilet or whatever, so that people are.
My whole thing is, and again, I'm sort of like half and half. I was totally leaning against it. I won't say totally. I was leaning against opening up, sporting venues and all under any circumstances. I've learned it now a little bit as time goes on. If it is feasible and they can have no fans and it can be the safety of the players and everybody involved in the game and it's realistic, not one of these, you got to take a shower. It's just not baseball to me. I mean, it's a very different form of baseball. You're going to have, a guy hits a game-winning home run. You can't congregate around home plate. It's a small thing, but at the same time, it's a big thing. You can't congregate around home plate and do the jump that they do and go crazy.
Yeah, so, the celebrations and the stuff, it'll be different. And it might, we were looking at, you look at KBO, the Korean baseball, what is it, organization, I guess?
Yeah.
And, you look at what they're doing and the games that they have, like they're pumping in crowd noise, like pre-recorded and stuff like that. And so it's kind of funny. Yeah, I mean, it's kind of funny, but it makes it more exciting. The thing that I don't like about it, and this is coming from my broadcaster point of view, is that the two people that they have doing it, at least on the games that I've watched, sorry to say this, they were very boring. And they weren't even hardly talking about the game at all. They weren't doing any play-by-play for the most part. They did a little bit, but they were just doing other things. And so it was kind of hard to watch the game on ESPN. What I'll probably do in the future is get the Korean stream because I'm not fluent in Korean. My wife is Korean, so I know a little bit, but they're a little bit more exciting to watch. And, it's more about the game as opposed to having all this other stuff on the side.
No, I agree with you on that. But again, I'm thinking up crazy ideas, and I'm thinking like if a major leagues here in America and Canada start up again, that we have, it could be a lot of fun. You could be a director. You can pipe in music and crowd noise when your home team hits a home run. When the umpire messes up on a play at the plate or something, you can put in boo, and it could be fun. You could play music, walk-up music for everybody. It would be on the TV broadcast. You could build it up. You could have, in Korea they had cheerleaders, but not what we think as of cheerleaders. They had fans dressed up in crazy outfits.
Well, those are cheerleaders. They actually do have cheerleaders for every sport in Korea. It's a big deal.
Okay.
And they have the Korean national cheerleading team is a big deal in Korea too. So cheerleading is a big deal in Korea.
Okay. Well, they were banging drums, and they, and that's fine. But I think you could make it, sort of, as imaginative as you want on a TV broadcast. And I understand what you're saying. The announcers are announcing from their own homes. They're not seeing the game, as close as they would like. And I think ESPN is really, from my 2 cents worth, they don't really care about the game. They care about just showing. They don't care about the outcome. They just want to show sports to the American public. And granted, a lot of games are in the middle of the night and all that over here.
And that might have something to do with why they lacked a little energy.
Well, that might be true. And, the games can be recorded. I record it. I'm not up. Well, I'm usually up at that hour, but I'm not up at that hour to watch a baseball game, believe me, and let alone a Korean baseball game.
It was a little earlier here for me, though. I mean, it was started at like 1 a.m. here. So. Yeah. Just a reminder that this is Jason, the Bobble, and I'm Roger, the Bobblehead King. And the reason we say that is because I have close to 600 in my bobblehead collection. A few of them are behind me. I have them of all sports, all genres, non-sports stuff. Wizard of Oz, Three Stooges. For those old enough to remember, well, everybody knows the Wizard of Oz. Three Stooges, maybe not. But, you get the point. But Jason is in, where exactly in Washington again? Well, I'm in Washington. I'll just say I'm in Gonzaga country.
Well, the Xavier fans don't like that because you've beaten us twice in the last 5 years, whatever it is. Whatever. But I'm located here in Cincinnati. And, just a little bit further along those lines of, we're just talking sports. We're talking things that just pop into our head. I think it's great. We've had this idea for a little bit, and we've come to fruition now to have it done. But I know of people doing podcasts now. They have a lot of time. It might be a one-man podcast you go on. I've seen a few here and there. And, it's just one person or two people or whatever amount just talking and trying to keep an audience, in tuned. And that's all we're trying to do here. So
and we're really here for your entertainment, I hope. We thought, maybe we can entertain you guys a little bit, keep you happy. And so if there's something that you want us to talk about, or there's some changes that you want us to see, and the quality is going to improve over time and things like that. But go ahead and put it in the comments, something you want us to hear about or talk about, or, if you have a question, can't find answers to about
just
sports.
Blank off, we can do that too.
Yeah, we can do that too. You can totally not subscribe or not like the video. You can give us a thumbs down if you don't like it. You can give us a thumbs up if you do like it. You can subscribe if you want to know, every time we make a new video. So whatever.
Exactly. And, we are, trying our best. We both have broadcasting in our back pocket, so to speak. Mine a few years prior to, I was doing it before Jason was even thought of.
Well, I'll say this: we're both not rich, so forgive the quality
Speak for
of the
yourself,
equipment.
because a lot of people who know me will disagree with that.
Okay, we're not wealthy.
Keep going. Whatever.
I don't have a lot of money.
Well, I can tell you've got that Bengals shirt. That was probably the only one available. They said, here, just take it.
Boomer. This is Boomer.
Boomer is good. I give you that. I mean, we'll talk about that another time, I'm sure. But we're wrapping this show up. Again, this is the Bleacher Bum Sports Talk, and we're going everywhere and anywhere. I mean, we're going to try to keep it basically in the sports venue. Obviously, in Cincinnati, where I'm at, baseball and football, soccer are really the big sports. You got a lot of good college basketball and obviously a lot of good college football in this area. And I'll say that Xavier is undefeated. Xavier's football team has not lost in 47 years now. So there you go.
Played?
47 years, Xavier has never lost a football game.
Because they don't have a football team.
I didn't say anything more.
But I heard the Bearcats were doing pretty good. So
I'll tell you what, this is coming from a Xavier fan, and the people that know me who are, watching, listening, I am a huge Xavier fan. Went there and support them through the basketball programs, both men and women. But I have respect for Luke Fickell, UC football coach. And this is where we should end it, because people are going to drop dead, be giving any kind of compliments to UC. But no, in fairness to them, and John Brannon did a great job with the UC basketball program as well, considering the fact that he took over a program new from a smaller school, and he worked out, but more to the football team, and who knows where they're headed. But Luke Fickell, who came via Ohio State, has really built up a great program here in Cincinnati. And even though people who know me said, "What are you complimenting UC for?" I call it as it is. I mean, if Xavier, my team in college basketball, is stinking, I will tell you. And at the end of the season, Xavier's basketball team was stinking. And you got to give credit where credit is due, and you got to give, put a critical line in or two on teams that aren't doing well that you might like. So anything else you want to add? This is like just two guys sitting at a bar stool trying to pick up women, even though both of us are married. But, that hasn't stopped me in the past, right? But,
well, I got a bad back, so I won't be picking up anybody.
And if you do try to pick up somebody, that'll be the last time.
Yeah, I'll end up in the hospital, either from the back or from my wife killing me. But no,
should we get the wives involved in this show at all? I mean, I don't know about yours, but mine could barely spell sports, let alone know anything about sports.
Well, mine does, but she's more into soccer, and maybe World Cup time comes, she might. I don't know. She probably doesn't want to do it. She's shy. But
I'm going to leave my comments on one short story. And again, if you're just joining us, the Bleacher Bum Sports Talk, and we're talking sports, but my next story has a sports in it, but not really about sports.
We didn't actually get to any of the talking points, did we?
Well, we're done.
Done.
We're all done. That's going to be our next show.
So what are we going to talk about on our next show?
We're going to tell you we're going to end the show. I'm giving you I open the show. You're going to end the show.
I'm going to close the show.
You're going to close the show.
We were supposed to talk about the NFL schedule.
Well, we're going to get to that another time. We're live doing this now.
No, we're not live.
You're going to edit the whole show, so we won't have anything.
Yeah.
My story is this. You're going to have the opening music and the closing music together.
There won't be anything in the middle.
That's true. And that'll be our ratings will be great.
Yeah. It'll be a lot of this.
But my last story, and then you're going to close the show. And I think we should have a little, if there are people out there that know what shtick means, it's something that, is something that you do that is sort of special and unusual. Like my shtick could be, talking about bobbleheads, which I collect and all that, and getting into that or something.
Them, right? You deal with them.
Yeah, but my shtick on this is going to be, I'm going to end the show on my end. You're going to close on a little story talking about, our wives getting involved in this show, which that's not going to happen. But the first time I met my wife was at a party. She opened the door to this party at a mutual friend's house. And she opened the door, and we got to talking, and I said, my simple question when I dated was, do you know who Wayne Gretzky is? Well, I'm a big hockey fan. This was back in the early 90s. I'm a huge hockey fan, season tickets to all the Cincinnati teams for the most part. And if she didn't know who Wayne Gretzky was, I wasn't going to talk to her. But she did. That's the only player she probably knows in professional sports, or very few. So she got past that, and now we're 28 years later, and we're still together. So you get to close the show. Guys, I want to thank everybody if you are listening or watching. Thank you for doing that, and we are open to any comments, complaints, or questions that you want. So, Jason, the floor is yours to close it.
All right. Well, yeah, thanks for watching. Thanks to Roger for doing this, the Bobblehead King. And, hopefully as it goes along, we'll get better. We actually, Roger and I are old friends. We go way back, so we tend to go off on tangents sometimes. We'll do a better job next time of staying on topic. But this time we kind of wanted to let you in and let you kind of know us a little bit, learn about our backgrounds a little bit. So next time it'll be a lot more controlled. But right now we just kind of went off on the cuff just to kind of, get a little bit personal with the people who are watching, with the viewers. So we wanted to let you in and let you know about our personalities and our backgrounds, because that's going to let you know how our opinions matter and don't matter to you as far as what's going on in sports. And, a lot of it might be in the future. I think, Roger, we're going to end up talking more news so than commentary probably on a lot of things. But we will have a lot of commentary too. So thanks for watching. If you liked us, give us a thumbs up. If you didn't like us, give us a thumbs down. Either one I'm okay with, because I like feedback. If I don't have feedback at all, then I can't improve the show. And we want to improve the show, and we want to keep it going. And yes, today we have, with this one, some technical issues, and the quality might not be there. In the future, we will eventually improve it. But any feedback that you guys give us, good or bad, is great. I just ask, be respectful of each other in the comments section. If somebody says, oh, I love the Steelers or I love the Bengals, that's great to go back and forth, but just, keep it within the community guidelines that YouTube has. We want to keep our channel up. So I'm not policing the comments, but, if you comment at us, we will check and we will try to respond to those. So thanks for watching. That's it for me. What are we going to do this weekly?
We are going to do this weekly.
At least. Yeah.
We already cut the tape.
All right.
I'm going to get going here in a minute. I can call you tonight if possible, but I want to get to this.
All right. Say good night, Roger.
But, yeah, I thought it went okay. It started off sort of slow.
I'm not recording it. I need to exit.
What?
Say good night, Roger.
We're not on video.
I'm still recording it.
But I don't want this edited. It's got to be edited.
Well, I got to have a clear ending. I think it's funny if I say good night, Roger, and you say good night, Roger.
Good night,
That's
Roger.
what you always do.
Good night, Roger.
Good night, Roger. Say good night, Roger.
I'm hanging up.